What is up, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to Chalk Talk, presented to you by Deal With It Productions. I'm Preston Deal, and yes, you heard that right. I control everything in that statement because we all know that betting on yourself is the surefire way to give maximum effort and take no days off. Day 3, 4 of the combine, if you ask certain people what days that they're tracking, finished up yesterday. Wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. I'm going to do a full video. We've done a couple test runs. Day 1, we did a full length video breaking down the combine, all of the DBs and not DBs, we did D-line and linebackers. Yesterday we did shorts on the DBs that stood out. Today we're going to give you 5 takeaways. Short video, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, 5 takeaways from yesterday's wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. Yes, I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beanie on. As I've mentioned in other videos, I tend to cheer for them as my favorite team. I have gear from all 32 teams. I also have gear from hundreds and hundreds of colleges, a lot of other sports that you'll see on this show. I am a, whatever you want to call that, fan of the beanie. I know that some beanies don't have them. There's different preferences. Housekeeping things. I want to keep this between 10 and 15 minutes. We're trying a bunch of different things. You guys let me know what you think. To everybody that has reached out, has commented, who's shared feedback, love, and support, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. To the comment of the Nick Warrior, I couldn't have agreed more. I had him as a late second, early third round pick prior to the combine. I think the physical stature, the running ability, I guess you can call it analytical components that we saw on display is going to make him the first safety taken. I think clutch situations are going to be something that he has to have a feel for, that he's going to have to develop into. But a freak of nature. I don't think NFL GMs or teams want to miss on that freak of nature guy. So I appreciate that comment. I appreciate you reaching out. I love all the feedback and jarring back and forth. It's hard for me to write certain things in comments and kind of convey what I'm thinking and emotion, so it kind of may come off as, asshole-ish or kind of like bland. So I just want to clear that up. Keep up all the comments. I will do my best to kind of interject them throughout these shows moving forward, and then if I can get to them and kind of make the responses as we go, I will. So I really appreciate that. This is what sports is all about. Sports is all about engaging with other people and conversations and topics about same teams, similar beliefs, different teams, different beliefs. And that's kind of why we're starting this show, to kind of give everybody a platform to talk about what they see, how they feel, and interpret different ideas all over the place. Remember, scouting departments in the NFL are not composed of, 20 to 30 scouts that believe and see everything the same way. If that was the case, the team would fail. You have to have differencing in opinions, and you have to have those arguments that go back and forth. That's what creates a great war room. But today, we're changing that whole conversation of DBs. We're away from the defense. We're going wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. 5 big takeaways. I'm not going to do the whole song and dance with all the pictures and do the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of run through my topics, what I saw, my takeaways. You'll see some things pop up about those players. If they ran and did the competition aspect of the combine, you will see that down here. If not, you might just see their stats. I'm not really sure how we're going to do that. 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Offensive linemen wrap up the combine today. The big men, they are going to be a key component to your team moving forward, and they're going to be a key component to this draft depending on certain things. I was going through the list of key free agents for every NFL team. I'm going to do a whole show on key free agents for every team and what players I think that they're going to be targeting to replace those guys in this year's NFL draft. Overall, I think the combine was a success. I think it's been a good display of talent. I was a little disappointed not to see Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders throw yesterday. I don't know if, well, you know what? We'll get into that. It's one of my topics. But please do us a favor, like, comment, share, subscribe, do the whole 9 yards. Appreciate everybody that's done it so far. We do need to shout out the Fontabella Italian still water. If you guys get a chance to ever see this or buy this, first of all, it's Italian. It's fantastic. It's still water, which is even better. And I mean, it's just nice. It comes in a glass bottle. That was an awkward sip right there. No brain juice today. We're trying to limit the amount of brain juice that we intake on a daily basis. But Fontabella from Italy, it's still water. I'm a fan of still or sparkling, whatever one. I actually discovered that on Valentine's Day. I was cooking for my wife. I bought those at the store. Thought we'd give it a try. Glass bottle's always nice. I'm not one of these people that does this every water tastes different, or there's this idea of ranking waters. If you're one of those people, you have an opinion on water rankings, I would love to know. I would love to try different waters that people think are the best. I'm a water guy, but I don't have necessarily an opinion about water tasting any different. If it's there, I'm drinking it. Unfortunately, I do drink water from the tap too. Whenever it's the middle of the night, you get up, go to the bathroom, put the little cup under the sink, take a drink. I'm one of those people. So that's up for debate, just like the beanie thing's up for debate. These are cool conversations to have with your friends and around town, but that's not what this show is about. This show is about football, specifically the NFL Combine, which is happening this weekend right now. So let's go from my top five, my first overall takeaway from yesterday's wide receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs. I'm going to start with everybody's favorite position. My number one takeaway was the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks threw the ball and performed a lot better than I had ever anticipated them doing it. There was a lot of question marks I had about this quarterback draft. And there's still some question marks that I have about these quarterbacks. Arm strength, accuracy, all these things, footwork, this all comes into play when you're evaluating any quarterback. But last year's quarterback class, we pretty much nailed it on the head. We knew exactly what we were going to get, and we knew who was going to be good. This year, there's a lot of up and downs. I think the winner of the Combine is going to be a shock. It's a shock to me because I didn't even have him in my top 10 quarterbacks when I did my first mock draft. Is Brady Cook, the quarterback from Missouri. I've been a fan of Brady Cook for about 2 full seasons now. I know he was dealing with a little bit of an injury. Some things went a little haywire. He's had a lot of big wins. He's had a lot of really good performances in big moments. He's also kind of dropped the ball in big moments, played not up to his ability in big moments in games that I would have liked to see him compete in. I've been a little up and down on him towards the end of this past season. And to be quite frank, I kind of forgot about him in this process, but he went out there and every throw was where you wanted to see it. It was easy. It was smooth. His footwork from under center and from the shotgun was really good. He was laser focused, and he had a lot more arm than I maybe have given him credit for on tape, pushing the ball down the field on the deep go routes, on the deep out routes. He was making the throws. He was very impressive. I think that he made himself a lot of money. He's going to work himself into those mid to late rounds. He's going to get drafted. He'll have a chance to compete for a backup spot. He might end up being a starting quarterback in the NFL when it's all said and done in a couple years. So remember that name, Brady Cook from Missouri. I think he might shock some people with his draft stock. He definitely shocked me with his performance. Another guy that, just sticking on the topic of the quarterbacks, or another two guys, I should say. I think Jackson Dart kind of solidified himself as that number 3 quarterback, made a lot of good throws, made a lot of arguments, and turned a lot of heads to maybe even being quarterback number 2 in this year's draft. He's a lot more smooth and fluid than I thought he would be. He has like this arrogance about him. He's chewing gum. He's wearing Jordans. You kind of want that in a quarterback. You want that moxie and that overall ability just to shine. Another guy, Riley Leonard. I'm not a big fan of his ability to throw the ball. I've talked about his shoulder pads and all this stuff. But he went out there and he performed, and he was definitely one of the top passers, I guess you could say, at the Combine. Really like what he did, liked his performance, and I think he has Maybe solidified himself as a mid-round pick in this year's draft. He's tough as nails. He's athletic, and you can see it with his footwork. So those three guys, that's my first takeaway from the quarterbacks. Those three guys, home runs. They performed exceptionally. Of course, I got my notes here. Takeaway number two, the running back class. Not only is it historic, but the running back class this year is fast. We had, I don't even know, I'm going to calculate the number and I'm going to put it right here. How many sub 4.540s that we had from a running back class where these guys are built a lot bigger, a lot stronger, a lot more physical than they have been in the past. Not only that, but they went out there and they performed on the field. I mean, most of these running backs that were competing in these drills look like NFL running backs. They move like NFL running backs. And in a day and age where every NFL team is seemingly having that thunder and lightning, that 1-2 punch, the let's rely on two running backs, let's have a third on the roster just in case something goes haywire. I mean, yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley are carrying the load for these teams, but at a certain point, there's going to have to be a replacement. There's going to have to be somebody that can come in and spill them. There's a lot of teams that are doing the 2, even 3-back system, running back by committee. I would not be shocked if there was 30-plus running backs taken this year, and they all solidified their positioning at the combine. I mean, with the 40s, with the physical nature, these guys just looked the part. I mean, they're getting ready to run their 40s, and it's like, I don't know if these guys are linebackers or if they're running backs. Like, that was how impressive these guys looked. A lot of these guys, their tape isn't as star-studded as you would like, but as a running back, you want their best days ahead of them. You don't want their best days behind them. That's at least my opinion. The less wear and tear that these running backs can have, the longer you're going to get them, and that's what you want. You want a running back to last, between 6 and 8 years to give you high level of production. Anything after that is gravy. Omarion Hampton made me a believer. He's my second running back off the board. I had him going in the second round. I've heard some things about him going in the first. I could definitely see that happening after his performance. So he's a winner. I really like that the two Ohio State running backs, Judkins and Henderson, performed. They won the national championship. They played through this brutally long season, and then they're out there at the combine. And what that shows me is that they're running backs that can last through an NFL season. They can play 16 to 18 games. They can make playoff pushes, and they can keep their bodies in shape and healthy enough to be in a 2-back system for a long period of time. So bravo to those guys. I'm really happy that they competed. It was really good to see them. The guy that I think stole the show from the running back position is kind of a shock. Woody Marks from USC. Super athletic. He looks like a receiver, catches the ball better than any of the receivers. He's probably going to be a slot receiver slash running back matchup nightmare kind of guy. Maybe that could be the second running back, probably a third running back in rotation. He ran decent enough, but his overall ability and ball skills was really shocking, really surprising, and it matched everything you saw on tape. So he's one to watch out for. I really like his ability. I think he's going to be a steal in that 4th or 5th round. Definitely made himself some money. Takeaway number 3, the wide receivers were big, physical-looking wide receivers that run very fast. That's the headline. I mean, these guys are 6'1" to 6'4", some of them almost 6'5", between 190 to 222 pounds for Savion Williams, who was one of my highlighted guys. He's the Energizer Bunny on steroids. These guys are impressive. They run fast. They catch the ball. They got soft hands. Sean Payton said he's looking for a joker. He wants a mismatch nightmare. He wants that wild card. There's 20 guys that I could point to right now that I watched through both receiver groups yesterday at the combine that are that joker mentality, that put them all over the field, that chaos ensuing mismatch nightmare. I love this receiver group, and I was kind of on board that they were maybe not as strong as you would like to see. Maybe not the first round strengths that we've seen in years past, but developmental wide receiver number 2 and 3 style players. We're going to have, I think a historic number of receivers and a historic number of running backs taken in this draft, and for good reason. I think they went out there, they performed. I'll put up another stat of sub 4.5, sub 4.4s. These guys were flying, and we know seeing the NFL built with speed kills at certain positions, and if you can get a taller, strong receiver that can run down the field at blazing speed and beat out a corner with his physicality and his speed, you have the makings of a great receiver. Now, there's a lot more that goes into the receiver position, but just from the combine aspect alone, big physical wide receivers running fast was my takeaway. And there's probably 20 to 25 of those jokers, wild cards that we see performing at the combine yesterday. And some of them ran fast and didn't even compete on the field. Like Matthew Golden's a perfect example. I think he was a 4.29, blazing speed. He's an absolute monster on the field. Doesn't even work out on the field and says, you know what, my time and my tape speaks for itself. And he's right. The one guy that I mentioned, Savion Williams, he had a great day. He's impressive, 222 pounds, running the way he did. Fantastic. I do want to shout out, though, before I talk about the guy that impressed me a lot, the two Feltons, Daquan Felton, Ty Felton. Daquan's a lot bigger. He's kind of built like a truck, ran really fast, soft hands, really fluid in his routes. Ty Felton did this like crazy flip thing at the end of the drill, running into the end zone. Who's going to flip? Who's going to flip? It was him, side cartwheel, backflip type of deal. Super athletic. He's a freak athlete. And his ability to change directions and do it with ease kind of had me thinking about like Jerry Jeudy when Jerry Jeudy was coming out. Just the fluid. It's like you think, oh my God, he's going to tear his ACL on this cut. And then he's gone and then catches the ball. We've seen the struggles that Judy's had. I think Ty Felton's going to be a good value. He runs fast. He's very athletic. He's smooth. He's fluid. The Feltons really showed up and showed out. Thornton is another one. Really big, lean, long receiver. Runs really fast. He's an insane deep threat. I think he could be that number 3 wide receiver that they take shots down the field. I mean, might only have, 400 or 500 yards on the season, but he could easily have like 7 or 8 touchdowns with like most of his plays being massive chunk plays. But the guy that stood out the most, Alik Amanor, the Stanford wide receiver, he ran a 4.47. I think that was the official. 4.47 was the unofficial. Regardless, 4.4 at his size. He struggles with contested combat catches. I've definitely seen that when it comes time to body people up and be physical with how big he is. He struggles there. But his just pure athleticism and on-field performance yesterday at the Combine makes me believe that he could be easily wide receiver number 2, potentially even wide receiver number 1, pairing him up with a dynamic kind of like slot receiver type of player will be really, really, really awesome for NFL teams. He's exciting to watch. I have him in that 60s range right now. He goes second round. I think I have him to the Bills. I'll have to double check. I'll put it right here and some text or something about where I have him ranked. I think he's going to climb the boards. Him and Savion Williams will probably be high second round draft picks based on their size, speed, height, weight, speed guys. You hear that term all the time. Height, weight, speed. Those are the 3 things that you're looking for, especially at the wide receiver position. Nowadays, that's a very valuable trait. So that's my third takeaway for the wide receivers. I think that my takeaway number 4 is that stars are made to be stars. And if you have the ability to compete and perform at the Combine, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you're not hurt, I think you should be competing. I don't think there should be excuses. I don't think there should be waiting around. Every day you wait to compete in front of NFL teams and scouts, another day somebody else can take your spot. And that's going to be the truest thing that they're going to hear when they get into the NFL building. Just because you're a first round, second round pick doesn't mean that your job is safe. Everybody's ass is on the line at the end of the day. If you show up and you don't compete, it makes me, as somebody who, as an agent, as a scout, as a GM, as whoever, it makes me concerned that there's something that we're missing. So bravo to the stars that did compete, that could compete, who were able to compete, who weren't injured. I think that's a huge headline, especially nowadays where guys are transferring all over the place, making millions of dollars in college. They kind of feel like their position is solidified, which is just not the case. So takeaway number 4, I'm really happy to see the stars who are the stars, guys like Omarion Hampton, who are projected to be top 25 picks, show up, show out, compete, and probably, I've heard a couple rumblings here and there that there's a conversation now that he might be even running back number 1, which is crazy. I understand that based on the year that Genty had. But those are the things that can happen. Just like with the quarterbacks, Jackson Dart conversation that he's now quarterback number 2. You don't show up and you don't throw it, and then you have somebody who's picking number 1 overall, like the Titans, who want generational talent, who have everybody there scouting. I mean, maybe they go with a different player now, not a quarterback. Maybe they trade because the top 3 guys that they're thinking didn't even compete. One of the guys, Abdul Carter, he would have competed. I firmly believe that. Obviously, the medical stuff held him out. Nothing you can do there. I just think that if you're a star, go prove that you're a star, compete, and really just explode on the scene and really take the show into your own hands. 5th and final takeaway, I think the quarterback class is not solidified. I have a new top 5 from my quarterback rankings. We've talked about this already in the show. I'm going to keep this brief. The quarterback rankings are a mess, and they're going to be a mess. I don't think that this quarterback class is as bad as everybody's saying that it is. Big if, these quarterbacks can get drafted to a team, they can sit, they can learn, and they can develop. If that is the case, these quarterbacks will develop, I believe they will, into very good prospects and very good either backups or starters for the foreseeable future. I like this quarterback class a lot for that potential. I'm not a big fan on this quarterback class as of right now being the starting generational talent that we saw in last year's draft. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But that's just what I see. I will update all my top rankings after today is all said and done with the offensive line, which I am super stoked. I love scouting offensive linemen. I come from an offensive line family, it's one of the greatest positions as a former quarterback, somebody who appreciates a good offensive line. When I switched to defense, I appreciate a good offensive line. So they're going to be fun. The big news that came out of yesterday, though, and I do want to talk on this because I know that we are going to touch on news style aspects of everything that has to do with football. Deebo Samuel, 49ers wide receiver, requests a trade. A deal gets done yesterday to send him to the Washington Commanders. Absolutely iconic trade. That is incredible. Obviously, the front office has connections previously with the 49ers. They know what they're going to get. Deebo has had up and down years. If he can get back to where he was and be that dynamic, that Joker type of wild card piece, I think Washington's offense is going to soar to new heights. Jaden Daniels playing lights out. Terry McLaurin, incredible. They'll probably draft a tight end weapon. They'll bring in some offensive linemen. They got incredible cap space. Their defense needs a little work, but they are in position to make a real impact. Yes, it's one player. Yes, it's an offensive player. It's a receiver. How much can he do? We're about to find out. I hope he stays in shape. I hope he keeps his mind right. Has a perfect landing spot, and I think there's going to be more news, at least from rumblings that I've heard, conversations I've had, that there will be more trades, more activity going on. Quarterback news, obviously, it's a little older, the quarterback news. Matthew Stafford staying in LA. Congratulations to him and his family. That is definitely the best situation I think he could have found himself in. Because you want to win now, especially as you get older, and he's going to get the money to do it. So those are my 5 takeaways from the combine yesterday. I was surprised to see Jalen Milroe's hand size grew. Didn't know that could happen. Will Howard was a little wild and all over the place. Him and Dylan Gabriel, a lot of missed throws, a lot of inaccuracy problems, a lot of bad placement of balls. I think the moment was just a little too big for them, or they got ahead of themselves a little bit. Um, and Jalen Milroe, back to him. Yes, his hands grew magically, but he's got some serious pop. The ball comes off of his hand very, very fast, lightning fast. His accuracy is not there. I didn't see him skip any balls, but he definitely overthrew some, definitely missed some throws. He's a good deep ball thrower. So I think those three guys had a rougher day. I don't know if it's going to hurt their draft stock tremendously, but it definitely plays into my mind as far as my quarterback rankings and where I have some of these guys falling and where they're ranked on my list. So that's my breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. We did the full video, we did shorts, now we did a half video. Not sure what we have planned for tomorrow. I'm excited to keep this rolling. Thank you for everybody again who likes, comments, shares, subscribes, does the whole 9 yards. It helps us beyond belief. I'm going to go check out the offensive linemen, get ready for my video tomorrow, get this one up and out. Thank you all for watching. For Chalk Talk, I'm Preston Deal. For everybody that's associated with Deal With It Productions, the whole family, cast, and crew, we cannot thank you enough for watching and being a part of all of this every single day that we do this. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.